Once upon a time in the cozy town of Willow Springs, there lived a young boy named Benny. Benny was a bright, cheerful child who loved to explore and play with his little sister, Lily. Together, they spent their days building forts, pretending to be pirates, and soaring through their vivid imaginations. However, there was one thing that Benny feared greatly: thunderstorms. Every time the sky darkened and the rumbling began, Benny's heart would race like a speedy race car. He would hide under his blanket, comforting himself by holding his favorite teddy. This fear was something Benny wished he could conquer. One blustery night, when the clouds gathered for a mighty storm, Benny's family gathered in the living room. Dad noticed Benny's worried face and said, "Benny, how about we go on an adventure tonight? An adventure that will help us tame the storm dragon." Benny's eyes widened with curiosity. "A storm dragon?" he asked hesitantly. "Yes, Benny," chimed in Mom. "In this adventure, we'll all be brave dragon tamers." Lily clapped her hands excitedly. "I want to tame a dragon too." The idea of the adventure began to spark something within Benny. With the room dimly lit by a flashlight, Dad opened an imaginary map, pointing to the ferocious storm swirling outside. "There, that's where the storm dragon lives," he announced dramatically. Benny couldn't help but grin as Lily proclaimed she would be the magical princess, whose songs could soothe even the fiercest of dragons. And so, their great adventure began. They rode through the howling winds on their imaginary steeds. Benny led the way, holding up his teddy as a shield, declaring it the silver-armored knight teddy, invincible against any storm dragon. As they journeyed through their vividly imagined land, they faced various challenges together, crossing the River of Roars, climbing the Hill of Hailstones, and finally approaching the Cave of Crackles, where the storm dragon resided. Each step was filled with pretend play and courage, with Mom, Dad, and Lily cheering Benny on. At last, they reached the heart of the storm. The imaginary storm dragon towered above them, a swirling mass of wind and thunder. Benny felt a flutter of fear but remembered he had his family by his side. With bravery in his heart, he approached the dragon. "Storm Dragon," he shouted, his voice clear and confident, "we are the brave Bennets, and we are here to tame you. Will you be our friend?" Suddenly, the thunder's roar seemed to soften into a gentle rumble, the wind settling around them like a warm embrace. "You did it!" Lily squealed in delight. Mom and Dad hugged Benny tightly, telling him how brave he had been. Benny realized that, while the storm still existed, it wasn't as frightening anymore. The family made their way back home as the storm began to fade. That night, as Benny lay in bed, listening to the last drops of rain pattering against the window, he felt safe and strong. Maybe thunderstorms weren't so scary after all. With his family's love and support, Benny knew he could face anything, even a storm dragon or two.